What is up? This is the Set It Off Network. I am your host, Michael Set It All. Welcome in. It is a bye week, and to me, bye weeks suck. I don't know about you guys and how you guys feel about bye weeks. Maybe some of you guys need, that weekend or, maybe the whole week to go out on a vacation. Um, Maybe you have a wedding that you unfortunately got invited to during the fall. Um, Maybe you have your own wedding, right? Which is the only respectable week. If there's no compromising the fall wedding thing, the only legit option if you're marrying somebody is getting married on a bye week. Thankfully now we have two of them, all right? But that's not the point. Point is we're at a bye week and we are going to talk about the future of LSU football. We're not just going to talk about, the future as in like 5 years down the road. We're talking about just as early as next week, but we're going to just talk about what the season has been, um, what it could be, what it can be, how good or how bad it can be, and kind of what all that means. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Bryce Underwood situation. I got a lot of things I want to say about that. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right in this thing. If you're not already, man, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. All it does is help us out. It's completely free. All right. So the Bryce Underwood situation is so tricky because this is the number one player in the class. This is the number one quarterback in the class. Like, this kid could go wherever he wants, right? And he chose LSU almost a year ago now. So it's not like he's been committed for a couple months. And then now we have all this news coming out of Michigan offering him a $5 million NIL deal. But the key thing that I took away from all of that and why I have cause to tell LSU fans not to panic is because, yeah, they definitely probably get offered him or set up a package for him that was similar to that, like reports. Like, I'm not denying that the reports are false. But one thing I took from the report is that they said it was on par with LSU's. And in my head, I'm like, okay, so what's the hype about then? Is the hype around just like the number finally came out, I guess? Because if he already chose LSU and now Michigan's offering him a similar NIL package that LSU's offering, what makes the Michigan people think that like it's a realistic thing that he's gonna go just magically change his mind and go to Michigan? Like, this kid has talked nonstop about LSU since he is committed. He's only visited LSU since he's committed. This kid lives 30 minutes away from Ann Arbor. He can go to Michigan whenever he wants. Hasn't been one time since he's committed. Not to see friends play, not to do anything like that. So, I'm a big believer in the recruiting game. You go off of what guys do, not what they say. All right? Because Bryce Underwood says everything correct. All right? He goes out there and he says, hey, I'm locked in. Like, I wanted to be at LSU. It was my dream school since I was, a kid. Whatever. The whole rah-rah speech, cool, fun and games. Love to hear it. But you also got to take that with a grain of salt because you've been dealt this card before, right? People say things all the time that they don't actually mean. And these kids are making one of the biggest decisions of their life. So I don't fault them when they renege on their decision because it is a huge decision for not just them, their family, and their entire life, and it's a big deal. So I don't get on kids too much about committing and decommitting and all that stuff because like if it was up to me, I'd probably do the same thing, But as far as it goes, watch what kids do, not what they say, right? And this kid has not taken a single visit to anywhere but LSU since he's committed. On November 9th for the Alabama game, right after all this stuff happens, he's going to be at LSU. All right? Joe Sloan is literally going to his football game tonight if you're watching this on Friday. Like, he's going to be in town watching him. So, and they're still in contact. It's not like, nobody's ghosting anybody. So, the reports, I think, is just a talking point. I think it's just things to get things riled up. They know how LSU fans are. They know how all that stuff works. I respect it, but I wouldn't read too much into it. Until I see that, hey, he's going on a visit to Michigan, I am not concerned one bit. He drops a thing saying, hey, I'm going to be in Ann Arbor for whatever game. Like, then it's like, okay, now you might have to worry a little bit. But till then, I'm not worried. So let's talk about present day LSU right now. Right now, your Tigers are 6-2. And boy, we not one of our proudest moments last video. Breaking down that A&M game. The A&M game is just, it sucks. I really hate the A&M series now, because what it was and what it is now is not fun. Like, it sucks doing the complete, like, 180, Like, they come in the league, you just beat them every single year, and it's just fun, and it's just like they're another team. Like, they call this rivalry, they're just another team. And now your behinds can't win when you go play at A&M. And it's so annoying because there's not many years that they lose to A&M. There's been a couple, don't get me wrong, and there's been a couple times they've won, right, where they haven't been the better team. But the more and more I watch and deal with this game is the more and more I think LSU is fine. Well, not fine. Fine is a debatable word here, because your definition of fine, my definition of fine are probably different. All right? My definition of fine is LSU is 6-2, right? LSU controls their own destiny, and LSU is the biggest, and I mean the biggest and baddest wild card in college football. There is not a team that has more ebbs and flows than the LSU Fighting Tigers. This is a team that can go out tomorrow and bust Oregon, all right, and go beat them, all right? But this is also a team that could go out there, go on the road to Florida, go play Vanderbilt, and lose these football games. Like, there is not a game on LSU's schedule that they cannot lose or they cannot win. And that's a terrible way to live life, right? But that's been this whole season. Since the USC game, we all got our hopes up this season, thinking that this year is going to be different. Boy, were we wrong, right? It's the same shit. It wouldn't be a Brian Kelly season if we didn't go 9-3, had 2 conference losses. Like, it wouldn't be a Brian Kelly season. So, do they break the trend? And it doesn't get easy. Like, people saw this, and don't get me wrong, this part of the schedule, this last 4 games is way easier than your last 4 games that you played. Your little stretch right there was tough, right? But you came through it at 3-1, which, if you would have asked me preseason, hey, just get me through that stretch 3-1, and we'll see what happens with Bama. I probably would have taken that. All right, so that's what you got. You have a 1 loss in conference. All right, the USC loss is actually helping you now because of this non-conference loss. You still have a chance to make the SEC championship, which God knows, Lord, we're going to take a minute, guys. Lord, if you're out there listening, and you know how I feel about Texas A&M, right? If you could just do me a solid and somehow work out the SEC to where it plays out that LSU and Texas A&M get to play each other again for the SEC championship, please do that for me. All right, that's enough for that. But like I said, and if you go and look at the tiebreaker scenario for the SEC, like, LSU is sitting pretty, like, for real. Like, because when you go down the tiebreaker list, Georgia and Texas we don't play them, and so it kind of like starts moving down the pecking order, right? And then you have obviously the same record, common opponents, or whatever it is. But LSU is leading in all that, like, as of now. And it's probably going to get better. You play Alabama. You play Vanderbilt. Florida's not bad. Oklahoma sucks, yeah. But the teams you've played have been doing really well in conference. Like, you have not played the bottom feeders. You have played a South Carolina team that's really good. All right, you played Ole Miss, who's really good. You played Arkansas, who's a mid-tier team in the SEC, but not a bottom feeder by any means. You played Texas A&M, who's in first place. You play Alabama, who has 2 conference losses, but it's still Alabama. You play Florida, who only has 3 losses as well. Vanderbilt, who only has 3 losses. And then you kind of have Oklahoma there, who sucks. All right? So, like, the record's going to match up for you. Like, if you can get to that one-loss scenario where it's tiebreakers and all this funny stuff, like, you're probably getting in. But can you get past the whole ebbs and flows thing that we're going to talk about now? Because when I say this with the most respect for everybody else, right? Out of all the teams bunched up there, right? To me, in college football right now, there is 3 elite football teams. 3. There's 3 elite football teams, and people are going to disagree with me, but it's really hard when you watch them and then look on paper, and you're going to find out this weekend for sure. All right, but the 3 elite college football teams right now are Georgia, Oregon, and Ohio State. Those 3, I don't think have many flaws. All right? Yeah, Georgia sucked in the first half of that Alabama game. But you know what? They didn't suck in the second half of that game. And I get it. Like, you can't play shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but I think it's safe to say Georgia's better than Alabama, personally. Just my opinion. And then you have the Ohio State thing where they only lost to Oregon, but they haven't played nobody. But you look at that team, like, that team's good. All right? They played Oregon really good, really tough at Oregon. Like, not an easy place to go and play. But they did it. All right? So those 3 aside, and then I call it the rest of y'all. Because there's like 15 teams in that contention who have 2 or 1 loss, and all of them are comparable in some type of way, right? Maybe not record-wise. You have teams like Clemson and Notre Dame, that go and play Louisville and Boston College every week and have been dominating football games, And then you have teams like LSU and Alabama that have been beating good teams, all right, but maybe got a couple more losses. So it's kind of like but I think out of that group, the Tennessees, the Notre Dames, the A&Ms, the Ole Misses, I think LSU's ceiling is higher than every freaking one of those teams. And I'm kidding. I'm not even trying to joke about it. I'm not being a homer. I'm not doing whatever. Like, I'm being dead ass serious when I say this. Like, their potential, if they can play consistently, what I saw pre-Texas A&M for the Ole Miss or the South Alabama game, for the Ole Miss game and the Arkansas game, that 3-game stretch was the best football you've played all season. I just thought it was going to carry into that. That's why I was so high on LSU going into A&M and finally winning, because I was like, they have finally figured this out. But they have, and they're still inconsistent, and they still have flaws. And I'm not saying like they didn't have flaws when they were playing well, but they were doing a better job of consistently making sure that they played at an elite level. All right? Because when LSU plays an elite level, there's not many teams that can beat them. All right? When you have a guy like Nussmeier back there, you have guys like Kyron Lacy, Aaron Anderson that are balling out this year. You literally have 0 run game. And I still think you can beat anybody in the country. So, how all that plays out, that's to be decided. But if you ask me, I think no matter how the season turns out, I think if you looking on Conference Championship Saturday and LSU is in that picture of playing for an SEC championship and they somehow find a way to win, that is could you imagine? So let's draw up the scenario, right? Georgia wins out, Texas wins out, LSU wins out, A&M loses to Texas at the end of the year. But all 4 teams have 1 loss. The tiebreaker would be A&M and LSU in the SEC championship. Georgia and Texas would get left out, which is kind of crazy. But it is what it is, right? Could you imagine Could you imagine? Sit here and think. Close your eyes. Do whatever you have to do. If LSU wins the SEC championship with 2 losses, they're going to be a top 4 seed in the playoff and get a bye. Yeah. A bye. Like, all of that's still in play. Because you haven't been eliminated from this SEC championship race, which is why it's so crucial that you get your behinds playing more consistent. Because if you want to accomplish your goals, if you want to have any realistic chance of winning a national championship, because right now I don't think they're good enough to do it. I don't think they're consistent enough to do it. The potential's there, but to me, they're not good enough yet. But if you can get to that point, and I think the only way you're going to be able to convince me that you got to that point is by winning out and winning the SEC. If you don't do that, it's going to be tough. All right? Maybe if you lose on championships Saturday, they give you a little grace period and they don't punish you. They said they weren't. I don't know. It's weird when you're dealing with people making these decisions. If you just handle your business, all right, you have a huge game next Saturday. All right, all eyes are going to be on Baton Rouge because this is like, for both of these teams, we're backed in a corner. Like, what do we want to be? So you're getting your best from Alabama. You're getting your best from LSU. We'll see what happens, man. And we'll see how this season shakes out because I'm telling you, if LSU finds a way to beat Bama, it's going to be tough not to start drinking the Kool-Aid again. Because I didn't lose. I lost faith in this team, but after rewatching the game and kind of getting my emotions out of it, I'm kind of locked back in on them. All right, because I like Nussmeier, and I like Nussmeier over a lot of guys in the league or in college football right now. And I think that matchup wins you a lot of football games. So that's all I got for you guys today, man. I hope you guys are enjoying your bye week. I'm sorry if you have a wedding to go to this weekend. It's not your fault. It's your friend's fault. Well, technically it is your fault because you chose your friends. Choose better friends. That's all I got for you guys. Like I said earlier in the video, man, if you haven't already, please subscribe. It does absolutely nothing for you. It does everything for me. It's free. It costs you nothing. It's not like a $5.99. We're going to bill you later. Like, it's on YouTube. You just hit subscribe, and it literally does the work for you. You never have to hear from me again. All right? So, peace out. Enjoy your guys' weekend. Enjoy your college football season. I will see you guys next time.